so much for coming, guys. This was the intermediate class at Avalon on the 4th of July. Thank you for coming. And we split this up into two halves. In the first half, we talked a little bit more to leaders about a pattern that involves, it's called a round basic, and this is kind of an upper tier version of it. So the round basic is a pattern that is a 6 count that kind of sort of looks like a whip, but it isn't really. We end up in closed position, we stay here, all right? I think a long time ago it used to be used to kind of like help teach people how to do whips, but now not so much anymore. So we did a version that looks like this. It involves some acceleration and coming around by the end, then exiting just with any 6-beat pattern from closed. So the way we talked about this was, first of all, we just got to 4, and it is different from a basic whip, because on a basic whip, I would take my time getting across on 4 because I want that whip acceleration coming out on 5. With this pattern, this round basic, we didn't do that, and we stepped straight across on 4 and committed our entire weight. Now, in terms of personal spacing here, and I'll show from this side, I don't want to be crowding my follower, like hand across their chest. So when I step across, I might be stepping slightly forward, and I want to have my entire weight over my left foot here. As I'm doing this also, if this is like 3 and 4 here, I do want to think about keeping my right elbow back slightly, again, just for personal space reasons, okay? So if we do this, we've got 1, 2, 3, and I'm all the way across on 4, okay? Now on 5, I'm going to be stepping around, and I mentioned the idea of like elbow awareness for leaders. So this idea that like I know where my elbow is, I know where my frame is, it's probably going to be down in closed position, and I have control over this range of motion. If I'm leading my follower to switch walls, I'm not using my hand to pull them, but as I step around, my elbow is coming closer to my side and then moving away again, and I can kind of use this to help them realize which wall they should be backing up to. So we have this 1, 2, 3, we step across, we go around, and again, I'm showing them to switch walls here. And this is 5. So on this 5, leaders, we're going to be pivoting. So if this is 4, I am bringing my feet together, keeping my hips and shoulders level, and thinking about sending my follower away to this wall as I step across. All right. Now, as I step across, if this is my 5 here, I do want my foot turned out, my hips and shoulders square, not just parallel to the ceiling and floor, but like square to the wall in front of me. And I am stepping all the way across the follower's slot. Because 6, I'm going to bring my feet together again. Same thing, hips and shoulders level in the room, and stepping away. And I'm just placing that foot, yeah? So I kind of show both the transitions, 1, 2, 3, and across. And here we go across. This is 5, this is 6, and I'm just placing, all right? The reason for this is I want to be able to lead out on 1, and I'm just going to shift to my left foot to lead out on 1. All right, cool. That was the first half. Thank you so much. Where's Josh? I'm going to grab you here. You guys keep your cameras running. So the second half, we focused a little bit more on followers, and this was more just based on kind of like elevated basics and connection theory, based on what I was kind of seeing from the group today in the room. So the first thing we went over was just kind of frame, engagement, and spacing. So I had the leaders stand in place, and the followers with our handhold. We had a great question about handhold, so it's just going to be from below the callus line to the first joint of our fingers here on the 2 middle knuckles. So I don't want to be, I can use that so you can see. I don't want to be like out of my fingertips here, gripping, squeezing. So it's just wrist relaxed, not pushing down either, connecting under the base of those 2 fingers for the follower. So 90-degree angle here, and I'm putting my free hand on my shoulder. Now from my center, so my tailbone's going to be very slightly behind the back of my neck, I'm going to be taking tiny, tiny steps back until I feel like if I were to take another step, I'd have to change something here. I'd have to straighten my arm, I'd have to slouch my shoulder forward. So this range for followers was very important, just knowing that this is about how far I can get away from my partner in my basic actions, yeah? So then we developed the ability to do this and then kind of stay here in connection. So I want to be able to do walks or triples without leaning back, maintaining connection indefinitely until my leader leads me. The drill we had to do this was the leaders would lead a basic, so we do like a sugar push. And then after we do our 4, 5, and 6, the leader would add triples here, just in place, and then lead out on any kind of like basic when it works. So this would be an opportunity to do it. And the follower's job was to, again, without sacrificing your posture, pitch, or frame, keeping, gently pushing your feet into the floor toward your leader, just waiting for them to go, yeah? The next piece we added was for the followers potentially to change up just their footwork variation in terms of the timing. So instead of just doing repeated triples after we get here, I could do a walk-walk, I could do walks and triples, I could change at any point in time. So I might be on like the unnatural foot when my leader ended up leading me forward. So if I were to step forward on my left foot instead of my right, I would still push off my right foot the exact same way. And if I wanted to switch my feet back to like the natural way, I can take a triple instead. So if my basic is walk, walk, and I'm stepping on my left foot on 2, all right? If I happen to step my left foot on 1 as well, I would go triple step, so that by count 2, I'm back on like the normal foot. Yeah, so that was the first kind of level that we added. The second level we added was adding variation of like angles and footwork. So the idea that with this range of motion, right, so this is if I'm straight back, kind of like square to my partner, I can start crossing in front and opening out, and my idea is I want to keep my elbow down and my shoulder committed in my frame, and again, not losing connection. So I'm not going to be like stepping forward and losing this connection here and surprising my leader by bringing it back. I can cross, I can open, I can do walks, I can do triples, I can do different things as long as I keep this, and again, as long as I'm being patient. And the entire time, the leaders were adding triples kind of as they saw fit, potentially leading 2 patterns back to back, like normal, potentially adding more counts. And that was the class. You guys did great. Thank you so much.